Imagine walking into a room and being handed a bill for nearly $100,000 just for the privilege of being born. That is the current reality for every single man, woman, and child in the United States. We talk about the national debt in numbers so large they feel like fiction, creeping toward $40 trillion. But the real story isn't about the zeros. It's about a global system that treats America's debt as the world's safest asset, even while the foundation of that system begins to show cracks. To understand how we got here, you have to look past the political theater and into the engine room of the global economy. For decades, the U.S. has operated on a simple, staggering premise. It can spend more than it earns because the rest of the world wants to hold its IOUs. We call these treasuries. They are the bedrock of global finance, used by everyone from central banks in Tokyo to pension funds in Ohio. But a bedrock only works if it stays still, and lately the ground has started to shift. The journey to nearly $40 trillion wasn't a single event. It was a series of choices made across generations. If you look back to the start of the 21st century, the debt was a fraction of what it is today. Then came a sequence of historic shocks. 2 decades of war, massive tax cuts that reduced the government's revenue stream, the catastrophic 2008 financial crisis, and finally, a global pandemic that required the largest government intervention in human history. Each time the world broke, the U.S. printed the difference. For a long time, this felt like a free lunch because interest rates were near zero. Borrowing $1 trillion doesn't hurt much if the interest rate is effectively nothing. But the era of free money is over. As inflation spiked and the Federal Reserve raised rates to fight it, the cost of maintaining that debt skyrocketed. We are now approaching a point where the U.S. government spends more on interest payments than it does on its entire national defense budget. This is where the break starts to feel real for the average American. You might not see the debt in your daily life, but it's there, acting like a silent gravity on everything you touch. When the government borrows trillions, it competes for capital, which can push up interest rates for everyone else. That means higher mortgage rates when you try to buy a home, more expensive car loans, and higher credit card interest. Perhaps more importantly, it creates a hidden tax through inflation. When the supply of dollars increases to fund government spending, the purchasing power of the dollar in your pocket tends to erode. Your salary might stay the same, but the grocery bill keeps climbing. This isn't just bad luck, it's the mechanical result of a system trying to inflate its way out of a hole it can't climb out of. The most terrifying question is whether the United States can actually break. In a traditional sense, a country that prints its own currency can't technically go bankrupt. It can always print more, but it can experience something worse, a loss of faith. If the world decides that the U.S. Treasury is no longer a risk-free asset, or if the dollar loses its status as the world's reserve currency, the American standard of living would change overnight. We've seen the debt ceiling drama play out in Washington dozens of times, a performative dance where politicians argue over whether to pay the bills they've already run up. Each time, we narrowly avoid default, but each time, the world watches and wonders if the adults are still in the room. So, is the U.S. debt a ticking bomb or just the price of running a superpower? We are currently living through a massive, high-stakes experiment. We're testing exactly how much debt a modern economy can carry before the narrative of stability collapses. If the interest payments continue to swallow the budget, the government will eventually be forced to make impossible choices: massive tax hikes, crushing spending cuts to Social Security and Medicare, or devaluing the currency to the point of no return. The numbers on the screen are moving faster every second, and as the interest compounds, the window to fix it is closing. The real mystery isn't whether the debt will matter, it's whether we will realize it matters before the safe fund of the world finally hits its limit. To understand the true endgame of this trillion-dollar gamble, we have to look at the one thing no politician wants to discuss: what happens when the world's biggest borrower finally runs out of trust.